Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. As you can tell, we're going to be going over the French Open draw. We're going to be doing a preview of the draw, possible matchups as well going forward, and we have an absolutely stacked draw in the men's. I mean, let's start with the men's first because what the heck has just happened? We've got Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, and Rafael Nadal. They're all in the top half of the draw. It's just ridiculous. I mean, they're just crowding the top half, and we could potentially have. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, is it a good chance for your Tsitsipas's, your Zverev's, your teams on the lower half of the draw to get to the final? Yes. Is it a surprise that we've got those three in the top half? I think Roger Federer obviously hasn't been as good in terms of. I mean, look, he's been injured, so that's not a surprise that he might be in the top half of the draw. I think the biggest surprise is the fact that Nadal had a 50-50% chance of being in the top half or lower half because he's been seeded number 3, even though he's a 13-time Grand Slam champion here at Roland Garros. Now, you might say, is that the right way to do it? A lot of people say actually that that shouldn't have been the case. He should have been given I guess, a similar seeding as they do at Wimbledon, which is based on prior performances as well. That hasn't happened, so he is potentially going to meet Novak Djokovic in the semis. Now, this is just the top half of the draw, really, and I'm just going to work my way down very briefly, and then I want to go into the possible matchups as well, mainly for Nadal, Djokovic, and potentially Thiem as well. And then we'll move on to the women's draw, go over that as well. Before we go into any of this, though, as well, please do remember to smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and of course, share the videos. And please like the content, comment on it, all that good stuff. I am using a mic today as well. It's probably, there you go. So I hope the sound is okay, and I hope it's a bit better. I think I was using earphones before, but I thought, why not use the mic? Got my earphones in to, I guess, crowd out the sound. Anyways, let's go into the men's draw. So Novak Djokovic, obviously at the top, being the number 1 seed. He starts off against Tennis Sangrin, a big hitting American. I would say, from what I know and what I've seen, Sangrin is, look, I mean, he'll play his shots, that's for sure. I don't think clay is particularly his surface, so that should be an okay first round for Novak Djokovic. Going down the list, I'm not going to go through every single matchup unless I feel that they will be ones to look out for. And again, this is no offense to anyone, but there's so many matchups in the first round, as always. Okay, Ugo Humbert, then number 29th seed from France. He faces Ricardo Sperankis. Alex de Minaur, the Australian 21 seed, faces Travaglia. That's a pretty tough first round draw. Travaglia is a pretty decent clay court player, so that would be I think that'll be a pretty good matchup. Also, Jo-Wilfried Tsonga against Yoshihato Nishioka. That's not a bad one as well, I think. And David Goffin versus Lorenzo Musetti. Now, that is a very, very interesting matchup as well. I think that will be pretty tight. Berretini, the number 9 seed, who obviously has had the best clay court swing of his career, if I'm not mistaken, so far. He faces a qualifier, so that's well, that's pretty good for him. I mean, he'll be pretty happy with that, I would assume. And obviously, you've got the old favourites and veterans like your Feliciano Lopez's just here, as you can see, against Federico Correa. Kevin Anderson as well. Not really his surface, the big serving South African. But this is quite an interesting one. Felix Auger-Aliassime against Andrea Seppi. Andrea Seppi, obviously, growing up in Italy, playing on the clay courts. Now, Felix Auger-Aliassime is pretty good on the clay. He's pretty good on all surfaces, to be fair. So that will be an interesting one. I look forward to seeing how he does. And then if we just scroll down, we've got Fritz Taylor versus Joao Sosa. Not going to go into that too much. Marin Cilic is in there. And then I guess the big dog, Roger Federer, seeded number 8. He is facing a qualifier, so he'll be happy about that because, that could have been a lot worse. Now, Rafael Nadal, this is where it's interesting. Number 3 seed and a 13-time Grand Slam champion. And my boy facing Alexei Popyrin from Australia. Not a super easy first round to have, but he should get through that, you'd assume. And then we've got an all-French, we've got an all-French, I guess, encounter between Hugo Gaston and Richard Gasquet. That'd be a cracker, I think, as well. Cameron Norrie gets a qualifier in the first round. I'll be happy with that. The lefty from Great Britain. And of course, we've got a vested interest here in the UK. So hopefully he can do pretty well. Harris Lloyd, he had a pretty good clay court swing. Had a very good clay court swing for his standards from the previous years anyways. But he's got a really tough first round against Lorenzo Sonego. Now, Sonego has had a Well, he's also had a very good clay court swing, probably a bit better than Lloyd Harris's. So that will be that'll be a tough one. You'd expect Sonego to get through that one, but who knows? Yannick Sinner versus Pierre Hugues Herbert. That again, I'm going to back Sinner there. I think he's just a very good talent. Going through then, because I don't want to go through every one. Gael Monfils, yes, number 14 seed. I think he'll get through that against Albert Ramos Vinolas. Again, might not be plain sailing, but should get through it. Diego Schwartzman, number 10 seed from Argentina, faces Yen Sun Lu from, I want to say Taipei, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm not going to say. And we've also got Philip Kohlschreiber. Wow, against Fernando Verdasco. That's a blast from the past, isn't it? We've got two veterans, two wily veterans. Philip Kohlschreiber on his day was unbelievable. Same with Fernando Verdasco. That's going to be great, because I reckon it'll be pretty equally matched. I might have to watch that just for the nostalgia of it. Those two going at it. Aslan Karatsev, I mean, he's been in unbelievable form, hasn't he? Number 24 seed. So good to see him seeded after getting to the semis of the Australian Open. He's carried that form through the clay court swing as well. He's been pretty damn good. And he's facing a qualifier, so he'll be happy about that. And then Andrey Rublev finishes off the top half of the draw, number 7 seed against Struff. Now, right, this is where it gets interesting because the bottom half of the draw is where I think it's going to be more open, and it clearly will be because you don't have the so-called big three. Well, they are the big three in that half of the draw. So Zverev opens up number 6 seed against the qualifier, and then we go through it. Dan Evans, number 25 seed, he faces Mioma Kekmanovic, hopefully I haven't butchered that name, and again, vested interest here in the UK. Karen Kachanov, he should get through that as well. Kenin Shikori facing a qualifier. Batista Agut also against a qualifier. Casper Ruud against Benoit Paire. Oh my gosh, Benoit Paire. Yeah, you got to back Ruud, don't you? Let's be honest. Kukushkin as well is in there. Hubert Hurkacz is facing a qualifier, number 19 seed. He's a good talent as well. He really is. Fabio Fognini, facing a wild card in Gregor Barrère. And then we've got Fucsovics against Gilles Simon. That'll be a good matchup. I'd back Fucsovics. I think Simon is coming towards the end of his career, and Fucsovics is, he's been in pretty good form. So I'd back him. Could be wrong, but I'll go with him. Dominic Thiem versus Pablo Andujar. That is not an easy first round. Pablo Andujar obviously beat Roger Federer in his comeback. Yes, okay, Roger Federer was rusty. You'd expect Thiem to get through that, but that's not an easy first round. And then you got Stefanos Tsitsipas versus Jeremy Chardy. That's not an easy first round either, the number 5 seed. Sebastian Korda, he's playing against Pedro Martinez. Watch out for Sebastian Korda, good player, I think. Right, Philip Krajinovic against a qualifier. Cool. John Isner versus Sam Querrey, All-American affair. I think probably back John Isner there. You'd have to, I think. Milos Raonic against Thiago Monteiro. Again, Milos Raonic should get through that. And then we've got Pablo Carreno Busta against Norbert Gombos. Should get through that. Grigor Dimitrov. And to finish off, we've got Riley Opelka facing Andre Martin. Should get through that as well. And to finish, the guy who hates clay, Daniil Medvedev against Alexander Bublik. That's going to be a really good, really, really good matchup. I can't wait for that. Okay, I'm going to go through the potential paths to the title. So, look, to be honest with you, I think Djokovic, this is not a terrible run, if I'm being honest. And if you were to ask him, I think before, would he prefer to face Nadal in the final or semi-final? I think he'd probably say semi-final. The reason why I say that is because the only time that he's beaten Nadal at the French was a semi-final. And also, I feel like there's less pressure and also from the crowd, etc. as well. I feel like he'll apply himself better. So let's go through then. Sangren, obviously, round 1. Round 2, Cuevas, most likely. Round 3, Herbert. Round 4, Goffin. Quarterfinals, Berretini or Federer. Semi-final, Nadal. And then final team, Zverev or Tsitsipas. Also, I need to give credit to Stephen from The Slice because he put these together and I am just borrowing them. So thanks, Stephen from The Slice. I think, look, let's be honest. if he makes the final, he will be the favorite on 100%. It's that semi-final which is going to be the biggest thing. I can't really see Federer making the quarters. If I'm being honest with you, I would be surprised. I would say more likely it will be someone like Berretini. So I reckon he might have an okay time of it until the semi-finals, Novak Djokovic. So that's what is. I don't think it's annoying. I just think it's that's just the way it is, right? I mean, he has just been that good, has Novak Djokovic over the past few years, and he will get through it. Yes, I don't think he's looked unbeatable. I think he is definitely someone who could lose earlier on. You never know with these guys coming up. But what I would say is that do not underestimate him in the French Open. And look, in the semi-finals, of course, you're going to back Nadal, my boy, as well. But definitely a threat. Definitely a threat. Okay, let's go on to then as I just said, my boy Rafa Nadal. Oh, it's a tough run, man. Popper in the first round, Gasol in the round 2. That's not an easy round 2. I'm telling you now, this is a damn hard run. I'm telling you now, because last year he had a very easy one, comparatively speaking, to previous years when he's won it. I mean, if he wins this, you can say, like, okay, you know what, you've gone through fire here, and this is a damn good win. Yes, he's still going to go into the favorite, but this is going to be tough. Popper in round 1, round 2, Gaston, round 3, Sonego. I mean, dude, Sonego has been in great form. Sinner as well. Gave Nadal problems when he's played him in the clay court swing. Yes, hasn't beaten him. I think in a best of 5 sets, you'd expect Nadal to win. But look, Sinner could easily just turn up on the day super hot, and you never know. Rublev or Karatsev in the quarters, the Russian renaissance there, and those two are in. Look, I mean, Karatsev is a damn good player. Do not discount him. I'm telling you now, and he just is super confident. Rublev as well, beating Nadal in the clay court swing. Djokovic in the semis, and obviously teams where it sits past in the final. So, look, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, no doubts about it. But I'm going to back him. I'm going to back him. I think he'll peak at the right time, and I think he'll probably be hoping. I think, to be honest, most players will be hoping for a little bit of slice of luck, a couple of upsets where some of these so-called, I guess, more difficult hurdles, they may end up getting dumped out by lower seeds or qualifiers or wild cards, etc. And that can happen. And you look, I mean, that always happens at Grand Slam. So let's see. Right. So Dominic Thiem. I mean, look, round 1, Andahar, as I said, that's a really tough first round. Delbonis as well is a pretty hard round 2. Then Fognini, round 3 is really hard. Round 4, Rude is, again, very hard. Quarterfinals, Zverev. Semi-final, Tsitsipas. Final, Djokovic and Nadal. I would say he's probably got the hardest out of Nadal, Djokovic, and himself. So this is crazy. This is actually ridiculous. I mean, for a run. I mean, yeah, not cool. Not cool at all. And considering he's also been in bad form in general, like he must just be thinking to himself, what the heck? But I tell you what, if he can get through to the quarters, then I'll tell you what, he's done a pretty good job. And especially if he gets through without dropping many sets, then you know he's in hot form. And the one thing I would say about Thiem is that, look, realistically, to win a Grand Slam, you have to beat the best players, right? For the most part, at least 2 of them, you'd say, or the top 5, let's say, top 6, top 7, most of the time anyway. If he can get through, for example, a quarterfinal with Zverev and winning straight sets, then you know, right, okay, that can trigger him. And 1, it means that, he's in good form, but 2, he's saved his legs as well. And I think, look, he has had very good results at the French, getting to the finals, etc. So I think don't sleep on him. That's what I'm saying. Don't sleep on him. Okay. Then lastly, I want to go over the women's draw because that's pretty interesting as well. And then we're just going to wrap up. So women's draw is quite open as per usual. But in saying that, I don't know. Look, let's have a look in here. Let's have a look. Right, so at the top, you've got Ash Barty. I think for me, the favourite going into this, if I'm being honest with you. I think she has a pretty straightforward first round you'd expect. I'm going to go through the kind of more, again, like the men's, the ones that are standing out to me anyway. Coco Gauff, who faces a qualifier. She's been in really good form in the clay court swing. Looking forward to that. Jabeur from Tunisia as well. She faces Yulia Putintseva. Again, she should get through that. Sue C, who had a fantastic Australian Open, she is facing Qing Wang. So interesting to see how she does, the veteran. Jennifer Brady, who obviously made the final of the Australian Open, number 13 seed, faces unseeded Savasova. Karina Pliskova, who got absolutely destroyed by by Iga Swiatek, 6-love, 6-love, got double bageled, ridiculous. It's unbelievable. Is facing Donna Vekic. That could be a potential banana skin. Vekic is a good player. Venus Williams faces a seeded Ekaterina Alexandrova. Interesting to see how Venus does as well. Sloane Stephens is unseeded. I mean, look, it's crazy because Sloane Stephens was US Open champion, right? I mean, she's not had the best of results recently, but let's see how she does here. I don't think clay is necessarily her best surface either, and she faces a clay court specialist in Carla Suarez Navarro, so that's interesting. Yeah, Karina Muchova against Andrea Petkovic. That's not an easy first round for Muchova. And let's have a look. Alina Svitolina against the a French wild card, should get through that. Sofia Kenin, that is, oh my gosh, this is the matchup of the first round, 100%. 100%. I don't even need to look at the rest of it. I'm telling you now, this is the matchup to watch out for. So make sure you watch this. Sofia Kenin versus Yelena Ostapenko. So Yelena Ostapenko obviously won the French Open a couple of years back. Still very young, Latvian, out of nowhere, she just won it. Sofia Kenin, number 4 seed. I mean, she's a Grand Slam champion as well. But Yelena Ostapenko is good on the clay, clearly. Sofia Kenin hasn't historically been very good on the clay. Let's see. I think it's going to be a really interesting one. Really, really interesting one. Let's go through the rest of it then. So we have Jessica Pegula, who obviously had a very good Australian Open as well, got to the semis of that, facing Lin Zhu, and Elise Mertens against qualifier. Heather Watson, that's where the vested interest is, from the UK, faces Serena Diaz. Again, you'd hope she get through that, but clay is not really her surface, so interesting to see how she does. And we've got Gabrine Muguruza, number 12 seed, against Marta Kostyuk. Again, that's a pretty good matchup. That is as well. Right, on to the bottom half of the top half of the draw. Even. Yeah, Petra Martic should get through that, and then Iga Swiatek. So, okay, that's interesting. So Iga Swiatek is in the same half of the draw. Yeah, she is as well. She is. Oh no. So we could have an Iga Swiatek versus Ash Barty semi. You can't have a Swiatek Barty's final. Those are my two favorites. That's interesting. I'll tell you what. That's really good for the bottom half of the draw. But let's go through it. I reckon it's gonna be one of those two in the final against obviously someone from the bottom half. But let's see who might get through. That semi would be explosive, that's for sure. Serena Williams, number 7 seed, against Aryna Camila Begu. So that's interesting to see how Serena can do just in this French Open, because I feel like the courts are probably not quite suited to her. Yes, she has, of course, won it before the French Open. Yes, 100%. But let's see how she does. I think, the older she gets, the harder it is. Same with Roger Federer. But I feel like Wimbledon is her best chance. But let's see. And then Angelique Kerber, number 26 seed, against qualifier. She hasn't been in the best of form in the last year or so, but let's see how she does. Nina Rybakina against Elsa Yekimot, a wild card. Petra Kvitova against a qualifier. Again, I'm interested to see how people like Kvitova do, because clay, again, not really her surface. Well, as in, when I say not her surface, it's not one of her preferred surfaces. Can she do really well on the clay? Let's see. Victoria Azarenka, number 15 seed, against Svetlana Kuznetsova. Kuznetsova has been around for ages. I think she's like 38, 39. I thought she was older than that, but she's not. And I'm pretty sure she's been around since she was like 17. She has been around for, wow. But she's still going strong. See how she does there. Imagine if she upsets Azarenka. It could happen. It could happen. I'm telling you now. Madison Keys versus Ocean Dodin. Interesting matchup there. Madison Keys obviously had COVID, recovered, which is good to hear. And hopefully, let's see how she does on the clay. Let's see how she does. It's always interesting to see how the Americans do on the clay because I feel like they feel a little bit unnatural on it normally. But I don't know how much they actually play on the clay. Obviously, hard court being their kind of home courts that they play on normally. Okay, in terms of others, Aryna Sabalenka, number 3 seed. I mean, for me, I don't even need to look at the rest of the draw. I would assume that she is going to be the strongest. I wouldn't be surprised if we see, for example, Sabalenka, maybe Andreescu semi-final. That I know that, for example, Steven from the Slice is really high on her, Canadian, and she's obviously a former Grand Slam champion as well. I'm very young still. Aryna Sabalenka for me makes the final. I think she's been in really good form in the clay court swing, and I think genuinely I think she will go. I don't know if she'll win it. I think, as I said, probably between Swiatek and Barty, but I think they'll be in the semis. And Sabalenka will probably be hoping, you know what, hopefully they have a grueling 3-setter. She can get 3 in straight sets. But look, who knows? She can get knocked out by the qualifier in the first round. Is tennis. Veronika Kudermetova versus Amanda Anisimova, the American, interesting there. But for me, of course, Johanna Konta. Now, she hasn't played a huge amount of tennis and hasn't been in the best of form, the number 19 seed from the UK. I mean, she got so close to potentially winning a Grand Slam, and she looked like she was going to, and she just has fallen away since. So let's see how she does against Sorana Cersei from Romania, who's a pretty good player as well. So that's not an easy first round. Let's see. Okay, let's go through then quickly because I'm conscious of time. The rest of them. So, Blenda Bencic, okay, fine, is in there. Kiki Bertins, Martina Vondrousova. Anyone else? Naomi Osaka. Okay, there you go. Number 2 seed against Maria Patricia. You know what? I may as well mention it because we're on Naomi Osaka. Obviously, she's refused to do media at the French Open, citing like mental health issues and that she wasn't particularly happy with the fact that it's always repetitive questions and people. She's basically saying that the media don't take into account people's mental health, and she's not happy doing media, and she's happy to pay fines, etc., for not doing it because it's an obligation. There's been various opinions on it, and I'm going to be very, very honest with my opinion. I think my opinion is up to her. It's her prerogative. I don't know. I want to be totally transparent and say, obviously, I have no idea how Naomi Osaka is mentally. Only she will know that. What I would say though is, of course, there are quite a few players who aren't in her position, who are working their ways up, or they're on challenges and they're really grinding away, and they would love the opportunity to speak to media. So I think it is. I wouldn't say it's a privilege. I'll just say obviously it's part of it, and it does help you get stuff out there. I know there were figures that were released that she made $55 million last year, a highest paid female athlete. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but that's from what I read. Now, that's no excuse to say, well, because she's earning money, like she should be doing it. Like, yeah, I understand it's part of her job, etc. A little bit controversial, but do you think she may have not wanted to do it because she doesn't want questions on that? Because that's quite a personal thing, right? Like the amount of money that you earn. Like I know professional players, it's just splurged everywhere, but it is pretty personal. So that could be a reason. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't. But either way, I think she is. Look, I mean, she's entitled to not do it. The only thing I would say is, does it show a slight mental weakness? I don't know. What I would say though is it probably doesn't bode well for the other players looking at her saying, "Oh, hold on, does she have a little bit of a crack? Can we mentally break her during matches?" That I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. She's a competitor. She's never got past the third round as well, and maybe she just doesn't want the questions of, you know what, why do you never play well on clay, especially if she does go out early as well. I don't know, but either way, look, she's good for the sport, 100% in general. On this specific point, I think it is definitely, it's polarizing, I think, for sure. I can see it from both sides. It's a tricky one, I have to say, because you don't know all, we don't know exactly what kind of frame of mind she's in. And I understand the sound she's trying to make. I do think that media can be tweaked. For example, I don't think players should be getting asked the same question 4 or 5 times. I think really the media should be vetted beforehand, and they should know the questions that the media are going to ask. Or there should be a policy like, look, if someone's already asked that question, you can ask follow up questions, etc., but not that same exact question, because I do feel like that would become tiresome. It is genuinely a complete waste of time in terms of efficiency, and it just makes no sense to do that. And I can understand why players might get annoyed by that. Okay, that is all from me. So I am just going to stop sharing my screen. No need to. Thank you very much, guys, though, for tuning in. Please do remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let me know who you think is going to win as well. I think I'm still going to stick to my original predictions of Barty and Rafael Nadal. I think probably the safe options, to be honest with you. If I want to go for dark horses, I'll very briefly say I think dark horses. I don't think is Sabalenka, can she be classed as a dark horse if she's number 3 seed? She's never won a Grand Slam. Maybe. Maybe. I'm gonna go Osaka. Is that a dark horse though? She's number 2 seed, but she's never made it past the 3rd round. So yeah, I'm gonna go Osaka. I think she's a dark horse. I just feel like at some point she needs to click together. Maybe the media thing will help her. Who knows? And then on top of that, for the men's, I think the dark horse is. I'm gonna go Karatsev. You know that. I've just got a feeling with Karatsev that he can do damage. Let's see, because I don't want to. I think it's too obvious to say Zverev or Tsitsipas or Thiem. Like we know they're in and around there. Like eventually they, well, Thiem's already won one, so yeah, I think Karatsev. Right, okay. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you on the next video, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to the French Open. I'm Bam off.